I go to help. So it was like the whole day listening to the sins of the people. From 8 in the morning until last year, I did it until 11 p.m. Tumayo lang ako para mag-lunch. Otherwise, it's a continuous listening to the sins of other people, which of course are not said to me and are not confessed to me, but to our Lord Jesus Christ. And you know, at the end of that day, I always remember, and I'm getting myself ready for that. Pasangho ang mundo. Yung narinig nyo, so many sins and different sins. It's really like, oh, Lord, may ganun pala. It was like sharing in the passion of Jesus by getting and carrying and putting up with the sins of others, including my own. So at the end, andun ako sa likod na simbahan. Besides praying, I'm doing this. You know what I'm doing? I'm removing all the negative energies. That emotional pain, that spiritual pain, is as terrible as the physical pain. But it's worth it. It's not that I'm complaining about that. It's worth it because I could see the happiness of people after confession. And I told Jesus, if that is what is meant by salvation, that I'm going also to carry a bit the sins of these people in your name, so be it as a priest. That's my joy. And that is our joy, Father Ronnie. That you listen to the confession, hindi para i-chismis, but to be the hand, the presence of Christ to people who are bearing and putting up with the consequences of their bad decisions. And we, in the name of Christ, says, go in peace. The Lord has forgiven you. That's worth more than anything for me. So Jesus, that physical and spiritual pain, nothing can beat him to that. Pero, tanong ko, ano nagpalakas sa kanya? Is the prayer. And you understand that the prayer of Jesus is deep because he is praying his life. Something which is important for him at that moment is the content of his prayer. I have nothing against memorized prayers like Our Father, the best of all prayer. Like Hail Mary is a prayer dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary. But you know what? That one that is coming from my life and my heart, I think God has been waiting that I share that to him. And that's why the prayer of Jesus in Gethsemane was deep, because he was praying what was most important in his life at that night. Anong nakakaya noong gabing iyon? His life. And he was terrified. And he was afraid. And he did not hide it before the Father. And he said that, please take this cup away from me. Goodness gracious, who wants to suffer? Jesus? No. He is trying to avoid that at all costs, haggling with the Father about that. And so the prayer of Jesus becomes deep in a sense because his life is his prayer. Years ago, I was with Gianluca. Gianluca is just like any Italian young man who doesn't care about praying, etc. And you thought Rome is a holy city? Well, yes, and also no. Because a good number of people, the Romans, not all, good number, would not care whether it's Good Friday or not. So one time I met Gianluca. So I said, Gianluca, I'm just curious. Do you pray? I remember what he told me. Father, I don't know how. How do I pray? If you were in my shoes, what will you say? Yes. How should he pray? Come on, tell me. The heart. I told Gianluca, do it this way. Whatever is happening to you now, bring it to Jesus. If you are courting a girl, tell Jesus about the girl, how beautiful she is. Just tell him that you love the girl. Oh, really? My love life? Yes, why not? And if you're angry with your parents, tell it to Jesus. Everything that concerns you now, that will be fine. And please, when you talk to Jesus, talk to him like you are talking to me, heart to heart, man to man, intimate, friends. And then he asks, and then what is going to happen later on? And then I told him, I don't know. Just do it. We shall see. The following day, I did not remember and recall anymore this conversation, but he was there, and he was running, and he told me, Father, I want to ask you something, okay? So, what is it, Gianluca? And Gianluca said, I did what you told me yesterday. Then I recall, ding, oh yes, oh the prayer, yes. And then I asked, what happened? You want me to tell you what happened? Well, you're curious also. Gianluca said, as you said, I told God, before I went to bed, I told God what is important to me, everything. And then what is this? What? There is so much joy that I felt. I don't know where it is coming from. The first time in my life that I have this joy, which is not the one I usually sense when I go to party. This is not the kind of joy when I am with my friends dancing in the disco. Father, there is so much peace and contentment that right there and then I ask him, what are you doing? Father, tell me what was happening. And while he was asking me that question, his tears started flowing profusely on his cheeks. And then I told Gianluca, God, he's talking. And if you're going to ask me what you're going to do, no, I can't do that. Let him talk. I'm done. Now that you have the experience very quickly of what it means to be with God, even short time before prayers, please ask him again. And I said, goodbye. I don't want to meddle anymore because I realize God is talking already. Better shut up and let him do the talking this time. He thanked me for like 5 minutes. Thank you. I said, you're welcome. And you're welcome. Deeper in prayer? Tell me, how could it happen? Bring your life into it, and let's see if it's not as deep as you expect it to be. Now, Saint Teresa of Avila mentioned this in one of her letters, one of her words. Mental prayer, in my opinion, is nothing else than an intimate sharing between friends. If you are going to just talk to him like good friends, that's prayer, and that's deep. And Jesus continued with his prayer. Father, yet not what I want, but what you want. Still in Gethsemane. That is one of the reasons why I enjoy Gethsemane and why I consider Gethsemane as my favorite place, sacred place in the Holy Land. You know why? For one thing, Jesus has been escaping and running away from all those who are running after him. When Herod was looking for him, he ran. Jesus left and escaped. When the Pharisees were looking for him, he also escaped. That night, he could have easily escaped. In Gethsemane, Bethany is just across, within striking distance. And Bethany was the place of his friends. He could have easily made his way around the streets. And so he could have run. But that night, he chose not to. It's just like saying with these words, Father, no more running. I am going to decide now once and for all. What you want me to do, that I will do. And I will face the consequence of my decision. In the Garden of Gethsemane, that is the place of Jesus' decision not to run anymore. And so he waited. And that's why for me Gethsemane is important. Because I realize that's where salvation happens. In his decision to do as the Father wants. All the rest are consequences of this decision. Yung nangyari sa kanya ng Good Friday, yung hinampas siya. And when he was crucified, all of those are just consequences and results of his decision in the Garden of Gethsemane. But without that decision, there will be no Good Friday. So I realized, my gosh, when I was kneeling in the Garden of Gethsemane, I was telling the Lord, on this spot, you said, I am going to do God's will, and I am not going to run away from your will, O Father. Jesus, let me say the same thing. I will suffer because I'm your priest. But on this garden, at this very site where you said your decision, then I will as well have the courage to say so. Your will, not mine, be done. So what happens next is that, okay, that's not Jesus. Who is it? It's Abraham. With whom? With Isaac. Remember the tests of Abraham, or rather of God to Isaac, or rather to Abraham. I just want to find out whether Abraham is faithful to me. And so he told Abraham, Abraham, bring your son, your only son, the one whom you love. Hindi niyo ba napansin ang Diyos itiniktik pa yung tungkol sa kanyang anak? Kaisa-isa na, anak mo at minamahal mo, offer that to me. If you were that person, oh no way. Everyone who touches my son will die. But Abraham says, fine. And you know the rest of the story. That is the ultimate test of Abraham. But how about in Gethsemane? Oh, that's the ultimate test of Jesus. And what is it? To show himself the obedient Son of God. Kaya yung kanyang pagkakaluh doon, tatakbo ba ako o hindi? Will I remain or will I run? At that point, he's being tested to his capacity. That is Jesus' defining moment as an obedient son or not. And he chose to stay. And I realized with this story that in real life, we are being tested through our gifts. You know, ang sabi nila, our priesthood is a gift. And yes, it is. Pero sinabi ko kay Mommy when I was a young seminarian, Mom, why is it like that? That when I entered the seminary, saka maraming humabol na babae. When I was outside, kami nagkakagusto rin sa dalawa. Pero when I became a seminarian, more girls were running, not really running, but were liking me just when I decided to be celibate. You have one seminarian here in your parish. Cyril, do you have the same experience? Tumamo. Kung kailan nagpare o nagpapare, saka nilalapitan ng tukso. Why? Okay, let me put it in another form. Married men and women here, bakit, Father, kung kailan ako nagpakasal, saka dumating ang minamahal mo sa buhay? So what do you mean? Claire had a song before. Sayang, ngayon lang tayo nagkatagpo. Oh, it's a pity we met only now. I said, what? When you were kneeling there and then promising God, and then you saw another woman, sayang yun? Sayang yung iniwan mo? Then the question, why is it that when I decided to stick with one woman, saka nagdadatingan ang mga tukso? Then I read the gospel. Then I realized, you and I will be tested in our gifts. Married life is a gift from God. So that's your defining moment. That when I said yes to this girl and not to that girl, no to that man and yes to that man, that's my defining moment. Decision. No more running away. Will you run? Will you hide from your wife, from your husband? I am not married. I saw it so many times over in the life of my friends, and their question to me, why, when I want to be holy, that there is so much temptation? And I tell him, I can assure you, if you did have any temptation, then you belong to Satan. Put yourself in Satan's shoes. Sinong inyong tutuksohin? The people who do not belong to you yet, or yung mga kampo na ninyo, who have your pick. But if I were Satan, I'm not going to tempt those who already belong to me. Kampong ko na eh. I'm going to run after those who belong to God. So, pag nawalan ka ng temptation, kanino ka kampo? We will be tested in our gifts. Once again, Saint Teresa of Avila. Father, why are you quoting Saint Teresa of Avila a lot? Because I'm influenced by her a lot. My mother is a third order Carmen. And as a young boy, I was growing up with these saints. Although I belong to the congregation of the Salesians of Don Bosco. She says, in order that love be true and friendship endure, the wills of the friends must be in accord. I'll show this boy to you. His name is Ezekiel. When I met Ezekiel, he was very sick. Actually, he was dying. Fourth stage leukemia. And he was suffering terribly. He told his mom, what could a mom do with the pain of the son? Tell me. Could you alleviate his pain? You don't have any power to that, over that. Even though you tried your best, you have given the best medicine and the best care, but at one point, tigil lang. You will be powerless. So the boy was crying out. And the mother said, Anak, magdasal tayo. Magdasal tayo. And the boy said, okay, okay. The following day, the boy was there, still in pain, but smiling. Have you seen a boy in pain and smiling like this? And then he told his mom, I remember the words, it's okay, Mom. Jesus is with me. Some hours after that, he died. When I was blessing the coffin of the boy, I looked at Ezekiel's face. That was the face of an angel. For long minutes, I was just staring at his face. This boy could not be dead. His face is so beautiful and gleaming. It's not the face of death. This is the face of somebody else. And I'm telling myself while I was crying looking at him, Lord, when I die, let me be just like him. Give me the grace of a happy death like this boy. My gosh, I'm looking at an angel sleeping, and I'm not being metaphorical about this. It was real. And hence, I beg the Lord, give me that grace. That is the most precious gift I could ask from you. That when I die, I am happy. And you know what? Your leader asked me about the theme, greater in love. That's the one that I saw. A man will show no greater love to his friend than to lay down his life. And that's what I saw. He laid down his life at the last moment, uttering the words, Jesus is with me, for Jesus. And tell me if that is not greater love. So I realized greater love is coming out of a deeper prayer. There is no escape about that. And Jesus continues after his prayer, looking at the disciples. Get up, let us be going. You know, I could not form the disciples in that. Gabi na kasi. Anong oras na ngayon? Oh, di 9:06. Gabi na. Hindi ba kayo inaantok? Pwede kayong umilata if you want. And I don't care. Just sleep. And Jesus said earlier, stay up with me, please. Pagbalik niya, tulog pa rin eh. And you know what Jesus said? Now get up. And I realized so much lesson in those two words. Get up. Kasi you realize a person who is suffering, any person who is suffering has a tendency to withdraw. Diba? When time comes na ang lungkot-lungkot nyo, parang ayaw nyo nang gumalaw. And I saw people like this. Minsan may umiiyak. Isang babae. Ako po, tulungan niyo po ako. Yes, what help can we give you? Kasi isang grupo kami doon during a retreat. Ang anak ko, patay na. Siyempre, what will you say when the child is dead? It's okay. Hindi nga okay. It's God's will. Naku, lalo naman hindi God's will. So, anong ginawa namin? We just stood there and then asked, okay, ma'am, just go on, tell us the story. And then the son was hit by a car, hit and run. And according to her, for so many days, she was not coming out of her room. The pain and the suffering and the grief have that so much power if we let them have power over us to keep us paralyzed. At iyak pa siya ng iyak. I was so curious, Mom, when did your son die? And she said, 6 years ago. What? 6 years ago? Have you not realized how much she withdrew from the people who are still alive na nagmamahal sa kanya? It so happened she came out that day because she could not take it anymore. So that word of Jesus, get up, that's the man who has power and who is asserting his power back. Even if he knew he was going to suffer. I was always amazed with how Jesus said, get up, this is no time for withdrawing. I know that this cup will not pass me by, so better be on my foot and face it. You know, one time when I was suffering terribly, I went to one of the priests and I told him, Father, I could not take it anymore. You know, you do good and people have something to say. You help in the church and there are criticisms. And especially in the church, the one who criticizes is usually the one who does not do anything. So I told the priest, I am sick and tired of all of this. And then the priest told me, and I remember it very well. And actually I shared this to Cyril's class this morning. Cyril, you remember what I told the whole class? When you are in the midst of people who make you suffer, what do you tell yourself? Natutulog po siya noon. Nag-aaral. Cyril is a very studious person and he's just right now stunned and then was like, huh? Cyril is one of my best students. So this is just teasing him. The priest told me, Steve, keep this one in mind. And I always keep this one in mind as well when I am suffering. The one who makes your life miserable is not yet born. Bigla akong napatayo. And I repeated it. The one who will make my life miserable is not yet born. Not you. The courage to stand up. Kahit na stand up. Someone said, in your bad days, get up, wash up, dress up, and be awesome. And that's the best revenge I'm going to give to those who unfairly and unjustly criticize or accuse me. You will see me getting up, washed up, fully dressed, and awesome. Who has the last word? Jesus. And then something else he added. See, my betrayer is at hand. Who is his betrayer? What is his name? Judas. And when I read this, I told myself, yes, Lord, I have my own Judases in my life. And I'm not going to let them terrify me. That Judas might refer to anything and anyone. It's not just a person. It might be a situation. It might be a circumstance. It could also be a person. But whatever that is, Judas refers to obstacles. And so face Judas squarely. Face your obstacle without fear. I realized from reading the Bible that the opposite of love is not hate, it is fear. The people, in my experience, who are fearful, they are people who are afraid. And when they become afraid, they become angry. One time, there was a group of students who went to a library. I'm not going to tell you what school. And they were looking for journals. They did not find the journals. So one of the students said, ay, ano ba naman library ito? Kulang-kulang. The one in charge of the library is a sister. Sister. And the sister in charge of the library heard that the library is kulang-kulang. So she went out and then she faced the students and said, sino nagsabi na ang library ko ay kulang-kulang? Library ko? Now you realize that sister is afraid for a thing which is real. Wala talaga eh. And then why are you getting angry? Because your reputation is at stake, right? You are afraid of that. And that's why, what happens next? Anger. One psychologist said, a priest psychologist, and when I was a student, I came across this. And I have seen this in many anecdotal stories and events that I have met in my apostolate. When you have a floating anger and it goes down, then your level of anger, your level of serenity goes up. But when your level of floating anger goes up, then your serenity goes down. So, in order to face my fear, to face my anger, then face Judas. Who is it that is making me so much respond to a situation in a very untoward way? And Jesus is one who's going to handle the problem at hand. It is his decision not to run away. Therefore, whatever consequences his decision brings, so be it. So we are talking here of a man solid in what he does, because his mind is also solid on God, his Father. And so it is when we go to our mission. No one is going to stop you. And unstoppable is a person who sees himself as doing God's will. No matter what others are saying, they are going to get this work done. Because this work is not his work, it is God's work. Bouldering mission? Yes. Why? Because you have a greater experience of prayer, and that prayer is connected with our Lord Jesus Christ. You know, when I was doing my doctoral dissertation, it was really terrible. I enjoyed it. But terrible in a sense that my advisor, who is from Belgium, is so meticulous about everything that even a comma or a period has to be in the right place. And you know what? At one point in my research, I was like, enough. I have suffered already enough. And I remember before the Lord, in the Blessed Sacrament, I said, Lord, can I even finish my doctoral dissertation? Then I remember very well a thought that crept in. And it is this, the one that I just told you. Steve, the work you're doing here is my work, not yours. And I stood up. Oh yes, I'm a great pretender. Am I pretending that that's my work? No. So Lord, remove my pretensions away. This is your work, and I'm going to carry this through until the end. If I have this gut that my work is part of a bigger plan and work of God, no one can stop me. Not you. Not anyone is going to criticize my work. And God knows how much time in prayer I have spent just to assure myself that it is His work that I am doing. Boulder in mission, you cannot escape praying if you want to be as courageous as you can, just as the Lord Jesus Christ is. Get up and let us face the Judas. And something else that we've got to face. And I'm actually ending my short sharing with you. And this is something that is so basic that a good number of Catholics has lost the appreciation of this. Basic catechism. Question number 1. You know, during my time, the catechism was question and answer portion. First the question, why did God create us? Then the answer. And the answer is, we memorize it,